Dear students, hearty welcome to First PUC Chemistry video classes organized by Mysore District PU Chemistry Lecturers Forum. My name is Lata K, lecturer in chemistry, Government PU College, Ilwala, Mysore.
Now in this slide I will show the volume measuring devices and what is density and three different scales of temperature and also relation between Kelvin, Celsius and Fahrenheit. First one, these are the volume measuring devices that we make use of in laboratories. ಪ್ರಯೋಗಾಲಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ದ್ರವ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ಅಳೆಯುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಬ್ಯುರೇಟ್, ಪಿಪೇಟ್, ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಟೆಡ್ ಸಿಲಿಂಡರ್, ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮೆಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್ಕ್. What is density? Amount of matter in a specified area is called density. You can see in this picture. Then you can see three common scales of temperature: Kelvin, Celsius, Fahrenheit. And you can also see the relationship between Kelvin, Celsius and Fahrenheit in this picture. Always degree Celsius can be marked from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. Like that, Fahrenheit can be marked from 32 degree Fahrenheit to 212 degree Fahrenheit. We can learn in this slide, we can learn relationship between degree Fahrenheit and degree Celsius. Degree Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 degrees Celsius plus 32. When they ask you to convert from Fahrenheit to degree Celsius, you can make use of this formula. ನೀವು ಈ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾವನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಫ್ಯಾರನೀಟಿಂದ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಫ್ಯಾರನೀಟ್ಗೆ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೆಲ್ವಿನ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ನ ಕೆಲ್ವಿನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಹೌ ಟು ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಇಂಟು ಕೆಲ್ವಿನ್ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ 273.15. ಈ ಒಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್ಸಿಂದ ಕೆಲ್ವಿನ್ಗೆ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ರೀತಿ ನಾವು ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸಿಯಸ್, ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಫ್ಯಾರನೀಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕೆಲ್ವಿನ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಸಂಬಂಧವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೋದು. Now we will go to uncertainty in measurement. We know that all scientific measurements involve certain degree of error or uncertainty. So there are meaningful ways to handle the errors in numbers and present the data with certainty. So now we can measure with the help of scientific notation. Measurements of quantities in chemistry has spread over a wide range. So a convenient system of measuring the number in scientific notation is used. What is scientific notation? It is an exponential notation of writing two large and two small numbers in the form of n into 10 raised to the power n, where small letter n is an exponential having positive or negative values and capital letter n is the number which varies between 1 to 10. What are the examples? How do we write? How do we express in scientific notation? We will take up one example. First one, 232.508. That you have to move the two decimal places to the left. Two decimal places to the left, so that we can express 2.32508 into 10 to the power 2 in scientific notation. Next example, how do you express 0.0016 in scientific notation? Here you have to move 4 decimal places to the right. 0.0016 is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 4. In this way, you can express numbers in scientific notation, and you can also eradicate the errors. How to do the multiplication with the help of scientific notation? I'll take up one example. 5.6 into 10 to the power 5 into 6.9 into 10 to the power 8. First you write the numbers 5.6 into 6.9. Then you write both the exponents on one side. You must add the exponents 10 to the power 5 and 10 to the power 8. It is of the form 10 to the power m into 10 to the power n, that is equal to 10 to the power m plus n. That means 10 to the power 5 plus 8. You will get the answer 3.864 into 10 to the power 14. How to do the division? How to express in terms of scientific notation? We will take up one example. 2.7 into 10 to the power minus 3 divided by 5.5 into 10 to the power 4. Here also first you write the numbers 2.7 divided by 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 3 plus 10 to the power minus 4. Here also 10 to the power m into 10 to the power n. We can apply that formula, that is equal to 10 to the power m plus n. 10 to the power minus 3 minus of 10 to the power 4. So you get the answer 4.909 into 10 to the power minus 8. ಇದು ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ವರೆಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಬೋತ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೋತ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್, ಬೋತ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್. Now we will go to addition and subtraction. How to express addition in terms of scientific notation? I will take up one example. 6.65 into 10 to the power 4 and 8.95 into 10 to the power 3. First you have to make same exponents for both the numbers. First you make the exponents as same. 6.65 into 10 to the power 4 plus 0.895 into 10 to the power 4. I have made same exponents for both the numbers. I have made same exponents. Now you can add 6.65 plus 0.895 into 10 to the power 4. You got the answer 7.545 into 10 to the power 4. I think you have understood. Now we will express subtraction in terms of scientific notation. Vyavakalana. 2.5. I'll take up an example. 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 2 minus 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3. Here also you should made the component as same for both the numbers. Here components are exponents they have given different. Exponents they have given different. First you make exponents as same. 2.5 into 10 to the power minus 2 minus 0.48 into 10 to the power minus 2. Now we have made exponents as same. Now you can subtract 2.5 minus 0.48 into 10 to the power minus 2. We got the answer 2.02 into 10 to the power minus 2. I hope you have understand what is scientific notation, how to express the number in terms of scientific notation, how to do multiplication, division, subtraction, addition in terms of scientific notation. In this slide, we will discuss about precision, accuracy, significant figures, rules to assign significant figures. Students, we know that all scientific measurements involve certain degree of error or uncertainty. Precision and accuracy are the two important factors connected with these. One would like the results to be more precise and accurate. First of all, we should define what is precision. It is the closeness of various measurements for the same quantity. It is not accurate. It is very close to the same quantity. I'll explain with an example. So this is precision. What is accuracy? It is the agreement of a particular value to the true value of the result. It is the exact value as we have already given before. That is the accuracy. I will give one example to illustrate accuracy and precision. If the true value for a result is 2 gram, student A takes 2 measurements and reports the results as 1.95 gram and 1.93 gram. These values are precise. I hope you are observing, as they are close to each other, but they are not accurate. Now student B repeats the experiment and reports the results as 1.94 and 2.05 gram. These observations are neither precise nor accurate because they are not close to each other and they are not agreement of a particular value. I think you are observing. Once again, third student C repeats the experiment and reports the results as 2.01 gram and 1.99 gram. These values, I think you are observing, are both precise and accurate. So you can see the data. Student A takes 2 measurements and reports the results as 1.95 and 1.93. Average is 1.94. Student B takes 1.94 and 2.05. The average is 1.995. They are neither accurate nor precise. Student C takes 2.01, 1.992 reports. The average is 2. This is accurate and precise. So, with this example, you have understood what is accuracy, what is significant, what is precision. You have understood what is precision and what is accuracy. Students, we know that we have seen that every measurement done in the laboratory involves some error or uncertainty depending upon the limitation of the measuring instrument. In order to report a scientific data, the term significant figures has been used. What are significant figures? These are meaningful digits which are known with certainty. There is some certainty and they have meaningful digits. These are called significant figures. What are the rules to assign significant figures? Point number 1. All non-zero digits are significant. Example, in 285, all are non-zero digits. So, all our non-zero digits are significant. That means thus 285 has 3 significant figures. This is rule number 1. Rule number 2. Zeros preceding to first non-zero digit are not significant. Take the example 0.03. It has 1 significant figure because prior to 0, precedes to 0, precedes to 3, 1 0 is there. This is not significant. Therefore, only 1 non-zero digit is there. So, significant figures in 0.03 is 1. Rule number 3. Zeros between 2 non-zero digits are significant. Example, 2.005 has 4 significant figures. 2.005, 2 and 5 are non-zero digits. In between 2 and 5, there are 2 zeros. These 2 zeros are taken into consideration as significant figures. Therefore, how many significant figures are there in 2.005? There are 4 significant figures because zeros are present in between two non-zero digits. What is the rule number 4? Zeros at the end or right of a number are significant provided they are on the right side of the decimal point. Example, 0.200 has 3 significant figures. See, after decimal or at the right of the number there are 2 zeros. So, we have to take into consideration these zeros as significant figures. So, how many significant figures are there in this number? 3. I think you have understood. Rule number 5. In numbers written in scientific notation, all digits are significant. Example, 8.256 into 10 to the power minus 3 has 4 significant figures. If you write numbers in terms of scientific notation, for example, 8.256, here all the 4 8.256 are significant. These are the rules to assign significant figures. Have you understood? Now, in this slide, I will teach you what is dimensional analysis. It is a method of converting units from one system to other while solving the problems. We are converting the units from one system to another system during solving the problems. We are making use of a method. That method is called dimensional analysis. The method used to convert units from one system to other while solving the problems is called dimensional analysis. I'll take one example. A piece of metal is 3 inch long. What is its length in centimeter? They have given piece of metal in terms of inches. A piece of metal is 3 inch. We have to convert inch into centimeter. We know that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeter. Therefore, what is the value of 3 inches in centimeter? 3 into 2.54. That is equal to 7.62 centimeter. I think you have understood what is dimensional analysis. In this slide, we know that smallest unit of matter is atom. Atoms of same or different elements combine to form molecules. Chemical reactions involve atoms and molecules. So, combination of elements to form compounds is governed by 5 basic laws. First law, laws of chemical combination. We will discuss about laws of chemical combination. First, we will take up law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation of mass. This law was put forth by Antoine Lavoisier in 1789. What does it law states? It states that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. What does it mean? Mass of reactants must be equal to mass of products. There is no destruction of matter or there is no creation of matter. I'll give one example in this slide. For example, wood burnt in oxygen to give ashes, carbon dioxide, water vapor. This is an example for combustion. So, here mass of wood and oxygen, these two are reactants. Mass and oxygen are reactants. Mass of wood and oxygen are reactants. Which are the products? Ashes, carbon dioxide, water vapor. Mass of ashes, carbon dioxide and water. According to this law, mass of wood and oxygen must be equal to mass of ashes, carbon dioxide and water. I think you have understood this law. One more example I will give. I have taken two conical flasks. I have taken two conical flasks. I have taken one conical flask. I have taken one conical flask to demonstrate law of conservation of mass. I have taken copper sulfate in that conical flask, and I have tied one small test tube with the help of a string to that conical flask. In that small test tube, I have taken sodium hydroxide solution. I have stopped the conical flask. Now I will weigh the entire conical flask with all the solutions, that is equal to 67.25 gram. Now I am going to mix sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate solution. I will loosen the string so that a small test tube will come at the bottom. Both sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate will mix together to form sodium sulfate solution, and copper hydroxide precipitate is formed. After doing the reaction, I will weigh the entire conical flask. What is the weight? Again I got 67.25. This means that mass of reactants must always be equal to mass of products. That means that matter can neither be created nor destroyed. This experiment demonstrates law of conservation of mass or matter. ನಾನಿಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟು ಒಂದು ಕಾನಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಪರ್ ಸಲ್ಫೇಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದೇ ಕಾನಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್ಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದಾರದ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇಳಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಹೈಡ್ರಾಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕಾನಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್ಕ್ ಬಾಯಿಗೆ ರಬ್ಬರ್ ಬಿರಡೆಯನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾನು ತೂಕ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ 67.25 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಂತು. ನಾನೀಗ ಇದು ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸು, ನಾನೀಗ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮೆಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ದಾರವನ್ನು ಸಡಿಲ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಹೈಡ್ರಾಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ್ರಾವಣ ಕಾಪರ್ ಸಲ್ಫೇಟ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಿಶ್ರಣಗೊಂಡು ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಸಲ್ಫೇಟ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾಪರ್ ಹೈಡ್ರಾಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಪಿಟೇಟ್ ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಉಂಟಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾನಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಸ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೂಕ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನನಗೆ 67.25 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬಂತು. ಇದರಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು, ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ನೀದರ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ನಾರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್. ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ law of conservation of mass. Have you understood, students? Now I will take up one more example. Combustion of methane. Methane burnt in oxygen to give carbon dioxide and water. 16 grams of methane burnt in 64 gram of oxygen. The methane and oxygen are reactants. So total 80 grams of 80 grams, both methane and oxygen 80 grams. This will give carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide 44 gram, water 36 gram. Here also both carbon dioxide and water gives 80 grams. So mass of reactants 80 grams, mass of products 80 grams. That means that mass of reactants must be equal to mass of products. This holds law of conservation of mass or matter. Now I will take up another law. Law of definite proportion. Law of definite proportion. This law was given by French chemist Joseph Proust. Joseph Proust. What does it law state? It states that a given compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by weight. It states that a given compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by weight. Here they have taken into consideration mass of the elements. I will explain one example. Example, water. 2 moles of hydrogen combines with 1 mole of oxygen to give a molecule of water. What is the proportion of hydrogen and oxygen 2:1. It is always same. It is always definite. And also I will give one more example for law of definite proportion. I have taken example as carbon dioxide. Here atomic mass of carbon is 12, atomic mass of oxygen is 16. In carbon dioxide, 12 gram of oxygen, O2 means 16 into 2, 32 gram of oxygen. If you double the 12 gram of oxygen carbon, that gives 24 gram of carbon. If you double the 32 gram of oxygen, that is 64 gram of oxygen. If you double the 24 gram of 3 times 36 gram. Once again you add 32 gram, that is 96 gram of oxygen. You take the ratio of both carbon and oxygen, that is 32 gram of oxygen divided by 12 gram of carbon, that gives 2.67. Once again you take the ratio 96 gram of oxygen divided by 36 gram of carbon, that gives 2.7. This holds good for law of definite proportion. Here the ratio of carbon and oxygen will always be same in carbon dioxide. And also you take the example of nitrogen ammonia. In the manufacture of ammonia, the ratio of nitrogen and hydrogen will always be same, that is 1:3. So this holds good for law of definite proportion. Now I will explain in this slide law of multiple proportion. This law was proposed by John Dalton in 1803. ಈ ಲಾವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದವರು ಯಾರು? ಜಾನ್ ಡಾಲ್ಟನ್. ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್. ಇಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಇಫ್ 2 elements can combine to form more than one compound, the masses of one element that combine with a fixed mass of other element or in the ratio of small whole numbers. If 2 elements can combine to form more than one compound, the masses of one element that combine with a fixed mass of the other element or in the ratio of small whole numbers. I will explain this with an example. For example, hydrogen combines with oxygen and it forms 2 compounds, namely water and hydrogen peroxide. First we will take up water. 2 gram of hydrogen combines with 16 gram of oxygen to form 18 grams of water. I will take up hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. 2 gram of hydrogen combines with 32 gram of oxygen to form 34 gram of hydrogen peroxide. Here the masses of oxygen. What are the masses of oxygen? 16 gram and 32 gram, which combine with a fixed mass of hydrogen. What is the fixed? In both the compounds, both in water and hydrogen peroxide, mass of hydrogen is 2 gram. I think you are observing. That is the fixed mass of hydrogen. But the masses of oxygen are different. In water, mass of oxygen is 16 gram. In hydrogen peroxide, mass of oxygen is 32 gram. So, masses of oxygen which combine with a fixed mass of hydrogen bear a simple ratio, that is 16:32 or 1:2. ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ನೀರು ಮತ್ತು ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಪೆರಾಕ್ಸೈಡ್ನ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯಾಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಜಲಜನಕ 16 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿ ವಾಟರನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಪೆರಾಕ್ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಜಲಜನಕ 32 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗಿ 34 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಪೆರಾಕ್ಸೈಡನ್ನು ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಸಂಯುಕ್ತದಲ್ಲೂ ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಜಲಜನಕದ ರಾಶಿ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು? 2 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್. ಆದರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ನ ರಾಶಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ನ ರಾಶಿ 16 ಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್, ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್ ಪೆರಾಕ್ಸೈಡಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ನ ರಾಶಿ 32 ಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಸೊ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಸಸ್. ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರಾಶಿ ಇದೆ, ಆದರೆ ಅದು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟ ರಾಶಿ ಹೊಂದಿರುವ ಜಲಜನಕದೊಡನೆ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ನ ರಾಶಿಯ ಅನುಪಾತ ಎಷ್ಟು? 16:32, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು 1:2. ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋತೀನಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಲಾ ಆಫ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಪೋರ್ಷನ್. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ನೌ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೋ to explain Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. This law was given by Gay-Lussac in 1808. This law states that when gases combine or are produced in a chemical reaction, they do so in a simple ratio by volume, provided all gases are at same temperature and pressure. Here they have taken into consideration volume of gases. Volume of gases. I'll cite one example. For example, 100 ml of hydrogen combined with 50 ml of oxygen to give 100 ml of water vapor. Hydrogen, 100 ml of hydrogen, oxygen 50 ml, it gives rise to 100 ml of water. Thus, the volumes of hydrogen and oxygen which combine together bear a simple ratio of 2:1. Here we have taken volume of gases. Look at here, 2 volumes of hydrogen. I will give one more example. 2 volumes of hydrogen combined with 1 volume of oxygen to give 2 volumes of water. So ratio of volumes of hydrogen and water is 2:1. This is similar to law of definite proportions. In law of definite proportions, we have taken into consideration mass, but in law of Gay-Lussac's law, we have taken into consideration volume of gases. I hope you have understood. Another example, 2 volumes of hydrogen combined with 1 volume of oxygen to give 2 volumes of water vapor. So ratio of volume of hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1. Bear a simple ratio. I think you have understood the explanation of Gay-Lussac law of volumes. Now we will go to Avogadro law. This law was given by Avogadro in 1811. This law states that equal volumes of all gases at the same temperature and pressure contain equal number of molecules. Equal volumes of all gases at the same temperature and pressure contain equal number of molecules. I will explain this law with the help of example. Example, chlorine combines with hydrogen to form hydrogen chloride. So volume of chlorine and hydrogen are same, 10 centimeter cube, 10 centimeter cube. I'll give one more example. Nitrogen combines with hydrogen to give ammonia. What is the nitrogen? 10 centimeter cube, hydrogen 30 centimeter cube to give 2 moles of ammonia. Avogadro's law is used in everyday life. Example, when you blow up a basketball, you are forcing more gas molecules into it. The more molecules, the greater the volume the basketball inflates. That means that when you are blowing the basketball, you are forcing more gas molecules into it. As the number of gas molecules increases, the volume of the basketball also increases, therefore it inflates. ನೀವು ಬಾಸ್ಕೆಟ್ಬಾಲಿಗೆ ಬ್ಲೋ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಹೊರಗಿಂದ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಾಸ್ಕೆಟ್ಬಾಲು ಚಪ್ಪಟೆ ಆಗಿರೋ ಬಾಸ್ಕೆಟ್ಬಾಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ನ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎಷ್ಟು ಅನಿಲಗಳ ಅಣುಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅನಿಲದ ಗಾತ್ರ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಅವಾಗಾಡ್ರೋ ಲಾ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್, ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್. ಅದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲು, ಎ ಫ್ಲ್ಯಾಟ್ ಟೈರ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ ಆ್ಯನ್ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟೈರ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕಂಟೈನ್ಸ್ ಲೆಸ್ ಏರ್. ಟೈರು, ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಕಾರ್ದು ಟೈರ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಕಾರ್ ಟೈರಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಹೋಗಿದೆ, ಅದು ಚಪ್ಪಟೆ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಫ್ಲ್ಯಾಟ್. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋ ಏರ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಟೈರ್. ದೇರ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋ ಏರ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್? Number of gas molecules has decreased, and also volume of the tire also has decreased. So it has got less air, therefore it is flat. But if you take the example of inflated air, the tire with air, here tire is filled with air, that means that number of gas molecules are more, so that automatically volume of the tire will be increased. So inflated tire become inflated and it contains more air. So volume must be equal to number of gas molecules. This is another example for Avogadro law. I will take one more example, blowing up a balloon. It is an example of Avogadro's law because it says as you blow more molecules of air into the balloon, it expands. When you blow the balloon, number of gas molecules enter into the balloon will be more. Automatically volume of the balloon will be more, therefore balloon expands. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೆಲೂನಿಗೆ, ಪೀಪಿಗೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಊದಿದಾಗ ಗಾಳಿಯ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಗಾಳಿಯ ಅಣುಗಳು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬೆಲೂನಿನ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆವಾಗ ಬೆಲೂನಿನ ಗಾತ್ರ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್, ದೇರ್ಫೋರ್ ಬೆಲೂನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್. ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅವೊಗಾಡ್ರೋಸ್ ಲಾ. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್. ಈ ಪರಿಕಲ್ಪನೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ.
Students, we know that a theoretical proof for the validity of laws of chemical combination was given by John Dalton in the form of theory, Dalton's atomic theory, in 1808. Now we will discuss in this slide postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. He proposed the theory in the form of postulates. Dalton ಪರಮಾಣು ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದ ವಾದಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಅವರು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಾಲ್ಟನ್ಸ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಥಿಯರಿ? ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್. ಯು ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್. ಇಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್. So all the substances are made up of very tiny particles called atoms. It cannot be divided. Any matter, any form of matter you can take, they are made up of tiny particles called atoms. You can take book, they are made up of indivisible particles or tiny particles called atoms. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ದ್ರವ್ಯದ ರೂಪವನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅವುಗಳು ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಕಣಗಳಿಂದಾಗಿವೆ. ಆ ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಭೇದಿಸಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಭೇದ್ಯ. ಅಂಥ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಒಂದು ದ್ರವ್ಯದ ರೂಪ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕಣಗಳಿಂದ ಮಾಡಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಭೇದಿಸಲಾಗದ ಕಣಗಳಿಂದ ಮಾಡಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ದೋಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಟೈನಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್. ಆ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. All the atoms of a given element are identical. Atoms of different elements differ in mass. All the atoms of a given element are identical in mass, size, shape, everything. So take the example of oxygen. Oxygen is an element. The atoms of oxygen element are identical in their shape, in their size, in their structure. They are of the same. Take the example of hydrogen. The atoms of hydrogen are same in size, structure and composition. In this way, atoms of the same element are identical. ಒಂದು ಮೂಲ ವಸ್ತುವಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅವುಗಳ ರಚನೆ, ಆಕಾರ, ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಗುಣಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳು, ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅವುಗಳ ರಚನೆ, ಅವುಗಳ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ, ಅವುಗಳ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಗುಣಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. Atoms of different elements differ in mass. Atoms of different elements. Take the example of an atom of hydrogen, an element hydrogen, an atom of oxygen. Atoms of hydrogen are different from atoms of oxygen. That means that atoms of hydrogen have their own shape, size, structure and chemical properties. Atoms of oxygen have their own shape, size and chemical properties. So atoms of different elements differ in mass. They have the different mass. Take the example of oxygen. Atomic mass of oxygen is 16. Take the atomic mass of carbon. Atomic mass of carbon is 12. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮೂಲ ವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಅಣುರಾಶಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಈಗ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕದ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ 16, ಇಂಗಾಲದ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ 12. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಹೌ ದೇ ಡಿಫರ್ ಇನ್ ಮಾಸ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್. Third point, compounds are formed when atoms of different elements combine in a fixed ratio. Compounds are formed when atoms of different elements combine in a fixed ratio. I'll take the example of water. How water will be formed? 2 atoms of hydrogen combines with 1 atom of oxygen to form a molecule of water. Now here, what is the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen? 2:1. Always 2 atoms of hydrogen combine with 1 atom of oxygen to form a molecule of water. So what is the fixed ratio of hydrogen and oxygen? 2:1. Like that, you take the example of ammonia. 1 atom of nitrogen combines with 3 atoms of hydrogen. 1 volume of nitrogen combines with 3 volumes of hydrogen. So what is that to form ammonia? 2 moles of ammonia, 2 volumes of ammonia. What is the ratio of nitrogen and hydrogen? 1:3. It is a fixed ratio. It never change. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು atoms of different elements combine in a fixed ratio to form a compound. ವಿವಿಧ ಮೂಲ ವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟವಾದ ನಿಗದಿಯಾದ ಅನುಪಾತದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆಗೊಂಡು ಸಂಯುಕ್ತ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತದೆ. ನಾನು ನೀರನ್ನು ಉದಾಹರಣೆಯಾಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನೀರಿನಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಜಲಜನಕದ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು 1 ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕದ ಪರಮಾಣುವಿನೊಡನೆ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಹೊಂದಿ ನೀರಿನ ಅಣುವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಜಲಜನಕ ಮತ್ತು ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕದ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಏನು? 2:1. ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ, ನಿಗದಿಯಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ನೀವು ಅಮೋನಿಯಾ ಉಂಟಾಗುವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. 1 ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್, 1 ಗಾತ್ರದ ಸಾರಜನಕ 3 ಗಾತ್ರದ ಜಲಜನಕದೊಡನೆ ಸಂಯೋಜನೆ ಹೊಂದಿ 2 ಗಾತ್ರದ ಅಮೋನಿಯಾವನ್ನು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗಾದರೆ ಸಾರಜನಕ ಮತ್ತು ಜಲಜನಕದ ಅನುಪಾತ ಏನು? 1:3. ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಇದು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟವಾಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಇದು ಈ ಒಂದು ಪಾಸ್ಟುಲೇಟ್ನ ಸಿದ್ಧಾಂತದ ಅರ್ಥ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್. Chemical reactions involve reorganization of atoms. We know that when the chemical reaction takes place, there is breaking of bond takes place and new bonds will be formed and exchange of atoms, exchange of groups, reorganization of atoms, reorganization of groups takes place. So in this way, chemical reactions involve reorganization of atoms. ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳ ಒಂದು ಪುನರ್ರಚನೆ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ? ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಧಗಳು ಒಡೆಯುತ್ತವೆ, ಹೊಸ ಬಂಧಗಳು ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತವೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಗುಂಪುಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಅಯಾನುಗಳ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ, ಸ್ಥಾನ ಪಲ್ಲಟ ಆಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಹೊಸ ಹೊಸ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. Atoms are neither created nor destroyed. Fifth postulate we have understood and we have explained in first law of chemical combination. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. That means that always mass of reactants must be equal to mass of products. There will be no creation of atom or there will be no destruction of atom. These are the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. I'll give the examples. I have given the examples in this slide. Look at here. Matter is composed of tiny indivisible atoms. ದ್ರವ್ಯವು ಅಭೇದ್ಯವಾದ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಕಣಗಳಿಂದಾಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು, ಅಭೇದ್ಯ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. Next, in size, mass and properties of atoms of the same element are identical. ಈಗ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅದರದ್ದು ಸೈಜು, ಮಾಸು ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸು ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ದ ಸೈಜ್, ಮಾಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಒನ್ ಎಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ of the same element are identical. Atoms of different elements are different. Atoms of different elements. Take the example of water. Here 2 atoms of hydrogen combine with 1 atom of oxygen. Atoms of hydrogen are different from atoms of oxygen. The mass of hydrogen are different from mass of oxygen. In this way, we can say that atoms of different elements differ in their mass. Atoms of the same element are same in mass, size and properties. Helium, atoms of helium are same. Oxygen, atoms of oxygen are same. They contain only one kind of atom. The compounds, they contain 2 or more kinds or 2 or more types of atoms. ಸಂಯುಕ್ತದಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಅಥವಾ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬಗೆಯ ಮೂಲವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳಿಂದ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತದೆ. ಈಗ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಜಲಜನಕ ಮತ್ತು ಆಮ್ಲಜನಕ 2 ಬಗೆಯ ಮೂಲವಸ್ತುಗಳ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳಿಂದ ಆಗಿದೆ. A chemical change involves a reorganization of atoms in one or more substances. Example, we will take combustion of methane. Methane burnt in oxygen to give carbon dioxide and water vapor. Here, atoms are rearranged. Bonds have been broken and new bonds are formed. For all these processes, we can give a single word: reorganization. Reorganization of atoms takes place. ಈಗ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಚೇಂಜ್, ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳ ಪುನರ್ರಚನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪುನರ್ರಚನೆ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ಪರಮಾಣುಗಳು ಪುನರ್ರಚನೆಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತವೆ ಮತ್ತು ಬಂಧಗಳು ಒಡೆಯುತ್ತವೆ, ಹೊಸ ಬಂಧಗಳು ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತವೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೀಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ fifth postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. Last but one postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. I think all of you have understood about the postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. Now we will go to, in this slide we will go to another topic. We know that, students, all atoms are tiny particles. They are indivisible. We cannot imagine the size of an atom. They are very small. Since the size of the atoms are very small, it is very difficult to weigh the one atom. It is very difficult. It is very difficult to weigh the mass of an atom. So, in order to weigh the mass of an atom, scientists have different standards. Finally, they had chosen one standard to weigh the mass of an atom, that is carbon-12 isotope. Then, how do we define the atomic mass unit? Atomic mass unit, it is defined as mass exactly equal to 1/12 the mass of one atom of carbon-12 isotope. Mass exactly equal to 1/12 the mass of one atom of carbon-12 isotope. Here carbon-12 isotope is taken as standard to weigh the mass of an atom. The standard used to measure atomic mass is carbon 12 isotope. Atomic mass unit now we can conveniently used as unified mass. Nowadays we are using as unified mass. One atomic mass unit. What is the value of one atomic mass unit? That is equal to 1.66056 into 10 to the power minus 24 gram. AMU. AMU now we can call that as unified mass. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ನಾನಾದರೂ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ 12 ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ನ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಪರಮಾಣುವಿನ ರಾಶಿಯನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿತೀವಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಾವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್? ಸರಾಸರಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ masses of its isotopes each multiplied by its natural abundance. It is the sum of the masses of its isotopes each multiplied by its natural abundance. ಸರಾಸರಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಮೂಲ ವಸ್ತುವಿನ ಐಸೋಟೋಪನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ 12, ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ 13 ಆ ಥರ ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ಗಳನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದನ್ನು ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ದೇ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಬಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಸ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಅವುಗಳ ಪರಮಾಣು ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದರಿಂದ ಗುಣಿಸ್ತೀವಿ? ಈಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಸಹಜವಾಗಿ ಅದರ ದೊರೆಯುವಿಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಗುಣಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಸರಾಸರಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ ಬೈ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್? ದೆನ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್. We can give example for this. Calculate the average atomic mass of chlorine using the following data. ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ we have to calculate average atomic mass of chlorine. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂಥ ಡೇಟಾವನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. ನೋಡಿ, ಅವರು ಎರಡು ಐಸೋಟೋಪನ್ನು, ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ ಎರಡು ಐಸೋಟೋಪು Cl35, Cl37. They differ in their mass numbers. What is the percentage of natural abundance? ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅದರದ್ದು ದೊರಕುವಿಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ? 75.77 ಮತ್ತು 24.23. What is the atomic mass of Cl35 isotope? 34.9689. What is the atomic mass of Cl37 isotope? 36.9659. So they have given percentage of natural abundance, they have given atomic mass, they have given the isotopes. First you have to find out relative abundance. Relative abundance is equal to percentage of natural abundance divided by 100. Natural, what is the percentage of? First we will take up one isotope Cl35. Relative abundance of Cl35, that is equal to natural abundance 75.77 divided by 100, so that you will get 0.7577. And also you have to find out relative abundance of chlorine 37 isotope, so that is 24.23 divided by 100, you will get 0.2423. Now you got relative abundance of two isotopes. Now we have to find out average atomic mass. Average atomic mass is equal to relative abundance into atomic mass. What is the relative abundance of chlorine 35? That is 0.7577 into 34.9689 unified mass plus another isotope chlorine 37. What is the relative abundance? 0.2423 into 36.9659 unified mass. You add, first you multiply these two, here you multiply these two, then you add both the numbers, you will get 35.45
ಯೂನಿಫೈಡ್ ಮಾಸ್. ಈಗ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನಿನ ಸರಾಸರಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯೋದು? ಫಸ್ಟು ಅವರು ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ 100. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ 35 ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? 75.77 ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ 100 ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ? 0.7577. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟು ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ 37 ಐಸೋಟೋಪು ಸಮಸ್ಥಾನಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀರಲ್ವಾ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಮಸ್ಥಾನಿ. ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ 37 ಸಮಸ್ಥಾನಿ ಅಥವಾ ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ ಎಷ್ಟು? 24.23 ಪರ್ಸೆಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಬೈ 100 ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂತು ನಿಮಗೆ? 0.2423 ಬಂತು. ಈಗ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್, ಸರಾಸರಿ ಪರಮಾಣು ರಾಶಿ. ಈಗ ಫಸ್ಟು ರಿಲೇಟಿವ್ ಅಬಂಡೆನ್ಸು ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ 35 ಸಮಸ್ಥಾನಿ ಅಥವಾ ಐಸೋಟೋಪ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು? 0.7577 ಇಂಟು ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ 34.96. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್ 37 0.24 ಇಂಟು 36.96. First you multiply these two, then you add the numbers. ಈ ಎರಡನ್ನು ಗುಣಿಸಿ ಮೊದಲು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡಿಸಿದಾಗ ನಿಮಗೆ 35.4527 ಯೂನಿಫೈಡ್ ಮಾಸು ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ವೇ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಆವ್ರೇಜ್ ಅಟಾಮಿಕ್ ಮಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೋರಿನ್. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ನಾನಾದರೂ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಲರ್ನ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ಸರ್ಟನಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್. What is scientific notation? We have learned how to do the multiplication, division, addition, subtraction in terms of scientific notation. In this session, we have learned precision, accuracy, significant figures, rules to assign significant figures. In this session, we have learned dimensional analysis. In this session, we have learnt laws of chemical combination. Under that, we have learnt law of conservation of mass, law of definite proportion, law of multiple proportion, Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes, Avogadro law. In this session, we have learnt postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. In this session, we have learnt atomic mass unit, average atomic mass. Dear students, you are watching my PU Chemistry YouTube channel, and I request you to subscribe the channel for getting regular updates.